PREPS.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Big Country Preps Wednesday night podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we've got a special guest from Goldthwaite, the girls' basketball coach, Angie Hermesmeyer.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. Coach Hermesmeyer's done an awesome job with this group, not just this year, but in the past as well. They're making their a second straight trip to the region tournament, and this year they probably go there as a favorite. This is a really strong team that's had an excellent season, and it's going to be a lot of fun talking to Coach Hermesmeyer about this group and kind of what's made it so special.
And before we get going with tonight's show, let's thank a couple of our sponsors, beginning with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a vehicle, new or used, give Rob a shout. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Call him at 254-559-2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. Also, before we get going, I want to remind you YouTubers to please hit the subscribe button. Also, after that, hit the little bell so you get notifications each and every time that Big Country Preps comes up with a new video.
And with that, it is just about time to have our conversation with Coach Hermesmeyer. And it looks like she's about ready to join us, so let's go ahead and get her on.
And joining us now, Goldthwaite girls basketball coach Angie Hermesmeyer. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
You bet. Not a problem.
All right, Coach. Your team has been playing excellent ball all year long. Can you and you're heading for the regional tournament again? Can you talk about what the big keys are this year for getting you to this point?
I think experience is our big key. We have three seniors that have been on varsity since their sophomore year. And then, being at the regional tournament last year really helps with our experience in getting back to that point. But I don't think they're finished yet. So I think they're just ready for that next step.
And that kind of leads to the next question. You mentioned that experience of having played in a regional before. How important, first of all, do you think that was for this group to kind of get that taste? And like, how much motivation does maybe that add when you're going back for a second time?
I think it's huge. I think we were very nervous and a little too hyped and too excited last year when we got there, which, I mean, you expect that when it's, you haven't been there in a long time. And I think, having been there for this year, it will make a huge difference in how we prepare for the game and not being too excited about just the atmosphere and about being in the regional tournament and just play it as another game and another opportunity to go out and play the game of basketball.
All right, Coach, you have Mumford up next in the regional tournament. I'm sure you have studied them on tape by now. Tell us your impressions and what you're up against.
They're a very, very talented team, just as anybody who gets to this point probably usually is. They have four really good guards, have a couple of big posts, and they run a really good zone. They can run some man, but they're talented all the way around. I think their guards are probably their best asset that they have.
And you kind of broke them down for us. What do you see as being maybe some of the biggest keys to advancing past Mumford and getting to a region championship game?
I think we have to play our game, and I think we can run on them. I think we can. I think we're pretty quick. We're pretty athletic, and I think we can run the floor really well and maybe get them out of their comfort zone. They don't necessarily, all the things that I've seen, they haven't pressed very much. And so maybe getting them where they're not expecting us to run on them a little bit. But I think our athleticism can catch them off guard a little bit. We're not very tall, but I think we are athletic. I think we can match up with and they're not huge. They're not, super tall, but they're big in stature. I think we can be athletic and maybe use that to our advantage.
Coach, heading into the regional on the other side of the bracket, your arch rival San Saba has joined you in the regional tournament. How cool is that? And one question that I would have about that, is it possible? I know that these two programs don't necessarily like each other too much. But is it possible to see Goldthwaite people rooting for San Saba and vice versa in the regional tournament?
You
Is
know,
that possible?
it's possible. I'm not really sure it's likely, but it is a possibility. Anything's possible, I guess, but I would really say that it's probably not very likely that they will be rooting for each other.
And along those lines, I mean, it speaks to the strength of y'all's district. When you look, you had four teams in the region quarterfinals. You've got two with an opportunity to play in a region tournament. Just how much did playing in that district kind of prepare? I mean, all the teams in it for what y'all are going through now.
I think it's been huge this year. It's been a big advantage, I think, for us for the last 4 years being in this district, because it does prepare us for the playoffs. I mean, we've always had four really good teams in our district that advance really far, usually to the regional quarterfinals. And so it's day in and day out, which is great because you are not having too many. I mean, you have a few games where it's not as competitive in our district, but it's not every game every night. And so it does help us prepare, and it helps us to get ready for this point. I mean, and I think it is a very good chance that we will face San Saba in the finals if we both take care of our business.
Coach, I've followed your program for a number of years, and it seems to me that the better teams you've had in the past have seen, aside from great defense and rebounding, uh, balanced scoring. A lot of girls that can contribute. And this year you have a lot of depth. It just seems to be one of those teams that we've seen in
Oh,
the past.
yes. Yes. I mean, we have three seniors, and then I've got five juniors and then a freshman. And so the juniors, have been on JV, but our depth is huge. As far as our scoring, I think at any point we can have anybody that can score, 6 to 8 points, and we still score 70 points in a game. And so, it's to our advantage that we have multiple people that can score, and we aren't relying on one person to do that majority of the scoring, just because it's day in and day out. They may have an off night, and then you don't have anybody else who can pick up the slack. And so that's a very big advantage. I think it helps us relax on offense and know that one person does not have to have so much responsibility in the scoring, that if we just do our job and we distribute the ball the way that we have, then anybody can score at any point in time. And I think the biggest thing for us is that our defense creates a lot of our offense for us. So we are getting easier opportunities on the offensive end because of our defense.
And you mentioned the three seniors. Obviously, one of those is your daughter Hope, who's been a huge part of your program for years now. First of all, just how cool has it been to get to go through this with her, and how much fun has it been watching her grow and become the player and leader that she has?
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. It's of course that's every coach and mother's dream, is to be able to coach your own kid. At some points I probably would rather not have coached her, just because we battle so much. Especially early in the years when she was a freshman and sophomore, we had our falling outs and our disagreements, and she wasn't afraid to tell me in front of everybody. And so we had our ups and downs for sure, but it's been huge. She has grown a ton in maturity and how she handles pressure situations and how she handles the game, just all the way around. She is a coach on the floor for sure. And that's a great, huge advantage for me. Like last night, it was very, very loud, and I was not able to call out plays or anything. And she just kind of took over and took the game on her shoulders, and just kind of, led the team where we needed to go. So that's been huge. It's been it's been very sweet to be able to coach her, and it'll be bittersweet when it ends.
During the regular season, it's probably a big enough challenge to keep teenagers focused and undistracted. But I'm guessing during regional week, the list of potential distractions is off the chart. How do you keep them just focused, and what's your approach?
Well, I mean, there are all kinds of distractions, and it doesn't matter. I mean, there's, they've got schoolwork, they've got, all the other things, all the other, in a small school, there's all the other sports that are beginning in the springtime that are already in full force, and there's some of them may be thinking about that next sport, and so that's hard for us to kind of keep them all focused. And it's just one of those things. I think we try to get all of our kids involved as much as we can with the excitement of the postseason, and we have these send-offs, and everybody kind of wants to be involved in that postseason excitement. And so I think that's the focus, is that we try to keep them engaged in the now, and engaged in each day, each opportunity that we have. But there definitely are distractions, and we've talked about adversity and how you can use it one of two ways. You can use adversity to your advantage, and it can be an opportunity for success, or you can use it as an excuse, and it'll be an opportunity to fail. And so we're using our adversities and our distractions as an opportunity for success. So we try to keep them focused on the now, and focused on what is the present situation that you have right now.
In the last one, but it was actually my dad that talked to you a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, for the feature that we did on your team. And one of the things that kind of struck me was that y'all aren't shying away from the expectations and the goals that this team has. Y'all weren't afraid to talk about some of those loftier goals that sometimes people do avoid. Just how much of it has been kind of building the confidence of this group, kind of instilling in it the capabilities that it does have, if it can take care of business.
Well, I think the first thing you have to have is you got to have confidence in yourself and your ability to be able to not just be in that position, but to handle that position and be successful in that position. We're not happy with just being at the regional tournament. We want to go out and we want to win it. But in order to do that, we have to have the confidence in our abilities and in our teammates and in our coaches and in each player, that we're able to do that. And if we don't have that confidence and we have that doubt, then we take that into the games. And you can't play a really solid game at the regional tournament if you have doubt. And so we've just tried to instill that we're just as good as we want to be. The sky is the limit, and we have every confidence that we can be successful and be at that state tournament.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck at the regional.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And that was Angie Hermesmeyer, head girls basketball coach at Goldthwaite, about to take her Lady Eagles to the Region 4 2A tournament, and that should be a good one. That's down in Buda, so that's a long way down there, and they'll be joining their arch rival San Saba. So this could end up being quite fun.
Yeah, I think so. I think it will be. But it was a great conversation. I was glad we were able to get Coach Hermesmeyer on. Like I said at the beginning, she's done a remarkable job with this group. And the thing that's kind of been neat about this season, in my opinion, about this group, is that I think its expectations were a little higher coming in this year. They kind of were a team that was, I mean, they've always been a really a quality program, but I think this year they kind of entered the season as, I think, a favorite with what they returned, and they've done nothing but live up to the lofty expectations that basically anyone has had for this group. So I would not be at all surprised to see this Goldthwaite team playing in San Antonio here next week. I think this team definitely has that capability, and it's going to be fun to see how they do out at the Region 4 tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how that plays out, especially with San Saba down there. That could make for a very fun region final if it works out that way.
Yes, it could. You better believe it. They remind me it's almost like a 2A version of Gym Ned, and the hallmarks that make of Gym Ned that make them successful: defense, rebounding, and balance scoring. Defense, rebounding, balance scoring, year
And
after year after year, is really what makes Goldthwaite as good
yeah.
as they are.
And another similarity, great point guard play. Both teams have
Yes.
really, really good, steady point guards that kind of get them into the sets they want to be in, and they don't make a lot of mistakes. And then, like you said, they got a lot of depth around the star players, so to speak, that really do their jobs well. So this is a very complete Goldthwaite team that's just been playing well all year long. It's going to be fun to see how they do this weekend.
All right, and with that, it's about time to close the books on this week's Big Country Preps Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we've got 3 separate subscription packages at Big Country Preps. Got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month. And then we've got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month. And that the annual is the best value. It's $36 a year for Big Country High School athletic coverage.
We'd also like to remind you that if you see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, those are available for purchase. We have photo downloads available for $7, as well as some keepsakes and prints. As you scroll through the site, you'll notice real quickly that we take a whole lot of photos from these games we're at, and we try to get to a whole lot of games over the course of the school year. That's something we really enjoy doing and something we are very proud of here at BigCountryPreps.com.
All Big Country, all high school, all the time.